When somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be.
Total. Your authority is total.
Total.
If he ordered me to reopen in a way that would endanger the public health of the people of my state, I wouldn't do it.
A battle is brewing between President Trump and the nation's governors. WBZ's John Keller joins us now to discuss. And John, a bit of a switch in thinking from the president here. He has been telling the states and the governors it was up to them to handle their own response to the crisis, ordering ventilators and so on. But now it appears he really wants to assert control over what happens next.
Well, Paula, this may shock you, but I think this is pretty much all about politics. Keep in mind, President Trump's re-election game plan has collapsed over the last several weeks with the collapse of the economy and the unification of the Democrats behind Joe Biden. Look at what happened in Wisconsin the other day, and the polling is turning sour. So Mr. Trump needs to change the narrative to rebrand himself into something he's been trying to be all along as the leading advocate of getting us back to business. And this is a way to do it, picking a fight with mostly Democratic governors of coastal blue states. That works well with his base. And if he has to back off his threat to overrule them, that's not so bad. That lowers his risk of being blamed for a spike in illness and death as a result of perhaps reopening too early. So, you know, the politics of this may in part be the reason why the governors hustled to form their own groups and made a big deal about how they're looking at reopening too. It's a popular place to be right now politically, Paula.
But do you think that's going to cause some political pitfalls if they're determined to do it their own way?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's high risk. We're talking about human lives now. Let's keep that in mind. And, you know, there's risk on both sides. There's a risk for these governors. And look, Charlie Baker's approval ratings are through the roof, but I see he was down the Cape today. What happens, Paula, if we get to the July 4th weekend, a date that business people down the Cape have indicated is sort of make or break for them? If they're not back up and running by then, the season may be gone, and that's a terrible blow to the Cape economy. What happens by then if Governor Baker is still saying stay home, don't open restaurants and so forth? It may be hard for him to keep people in line. Sure. So there's political risks on both sides of the ledger here.
Certainly hard to imagine the first time in our history not having a 4th of July really at all. John Keller, thank you so much.
Tell me about it.
Thanks.